Hello, and welcome to ServiceNation Live for November. I'm Ian Crawford, once again sitting in for Zach Morin. Upwards of 1 million men and women will be leaving the armed forces of the United States in the next 4 years. But when the uniform is packed away for the last time, the service members' desire to serve their community and their nation doesn't end. Many veterans are doing civilian national service, bringing their skills, training, and leadership to bear on some of the country's toughest issues. As America celebrates the men and women who have served in our military this month, we also celebrate veterans who continue to serve. Joining us today are Amber Stone, a former Army medic now serving with the Armed Services YMCA of Missouri as an AmeriCorps Vista; Lauren Lloyd, manager of the Vets Corps program through the Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America and also a military spouse; Jason Alves, a Navy veteran who now serves as program manager of the Veterans Conservation Corps, Vet Corps, for the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs; and Tony Dale, a Marine veteran who is now director of military initiatives for the Points of Light Institute. Welcome to all our guests.
We highlighted on ServiceNation.org, you noted that you chose military service over the Peace Corps because it was, quote, the one that aggravated my mother the most, unquote. First off, has your mom gotten over that? And secondly, what made you decide to return to civilian life after serving in the Army?
I'm pretty sure she's mostly over it. She still gives me a hard time about going to Korea and Iraq and leaving her, all these miles away. But her father was in the Air Force, and once she saw me at graduation from basic training, you saw her frown go to a big smile. She was really proud of me. I returned to service because I had been in the medical field before the Army, and then I was a medic in the Army. And I just feel the need to take care of people, and I love doing that. So that's why I'm back doing that.
That's great. Fantastic. Now, Jason, more and more we're seeing AmeriCorps programs like Vet Corps in the state of Washington using veterans' military skills in a civilian setting. Now, what is it about a veteran that makes that person, that individual, such an ideal candidate to be a community leader through civilian national service?
Well, honestly, I believe that Amber kind of touched on the beginning of some of what that is. There's a strong desire to serve when an individual goes into the service, and I can largely speak for myself with that ideal. We see it a lot in the Vet Corps members. You go into the service, you're part of something larger, you're part of a team, you're part of a unit. And when you come home, where is that unit? Where is that purpose? Where is that team? With the Vet Corps, we often find that with the national service, the opportunity to serve one's community when they come home, serve alongside other veterans and whatnot like that, and be part of that larger something once again. Veterans come to that both with that ideal of service, looking for what we call a second mission in Vet Corps, but they also come to it with a set of skills, a set of experiences that make them very successful when they do these types of things.
Now, Lauren, you bring a unique perspective to all of this today on our panel. You're not a veteran yourself, but you are a military spouse, and you also work with veterans every day through your work at CATCA. Now, what is it about national service that is so appealing to current and former members from your perspective? We may have lost Lauren. We'll get her back here in just a few moments. So, Tony, I'm going to turn to you.
I'm here, but...
Oh, good. Okay. You still with us, Lauren?
I'm here. Hello?
Okay. I think you're back with us. Okay. Now, I don't know if you heard my question.
Hi, I'm here. My connection is great.
Okay. It sounds like we're losing Lauren's connection, so we'll come back to you in just a moment. But
okay, let's try this again.
Okay. Tony, I'm going to go ahead and turn to you. Now, you spent the better part of your life, 14 years, on active and reserve duty in the Marine Corps. Now, why have you decided to turn that energy and now work for the cause of national service through programs like Community Blueprint and Veterans Leader Corps at the Points of Light Institute?
Well, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I think that my primary purpose for joining such an awesome organization such as Points of Light and really pushing forward the Community Blueprint effort and Veteran Leader Corps is because I understand there's a need amongst the veteran population to re-engage once they leave from service and try to find avenues for them to be involved in the community and reconnect to the community that they have somewhat distanced themselves from as they went through their journey in the military. So I I'm glad to be a part of an organization where we actually bring coalitions together and really help them build some type of programs around how to help veterans reintegrate into society. As most of you all know, there's 1.2 million organizations in the United States dedicated to veteran services. So we have to find a way for those organizations to come together so we can have one focal point for veterans to come to when they re-enter the community. So that's my primary purpose of coming to Points for Life, and really trying to help push that initiative forward.
Okay. Do we have Lauren back? Are you back with us, Lauren?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. That's no problem. We appreciate it. I'm glad we could work things out. Now, I don't know if you heard my question. I'll go ahead and ask it again, though, because you really do bring a unique perspective to this. Our other guests are veterans. You're not a veteran yourself, but you are a military spouse, and you also work with veterans every day through your work at CADCA and VetCorps. I was asking, what is it about national service that makes it so appealing to current and former military members, from your perspective?
Well, from my perspective as a spouse, I've seen both sides of the story. So us as family members, we serve in a capacity that's a little bit different than our active duty members, but we're there as a system of support. So I think that system of support and that value of service to one's country translates into service to a nation outside of another mission than serving in the military. So it kind of appeals to people that are in the military because you're giving of oneself to your community. And most people that are in the military understand that, and they understand that where they are, that's their community. So they're wanting to build up where they're at.
Okay, that's great. Now, one thing that kind of struck me just a moment ago, and I'm gonna turn this question to Jason, but I'm gonna also open it up to the rest of the veterans. But one of the big buzzwords that we hear about, and I think you touched on this briefly, Jason, is reintegration. Now, can you talk a little bit more about the role that national service has helped play in veterans reintegrating to civilian life, Jason?
Yeah, I think when we say reintegration, we're taking into account a number of different things. We're taking into account coming back home, leaving a culture that we're fairly familiar with, and then maybe different things that carry along from our time in service, to include wounds of war as well as other transitional issues. But one of the big pieces that we hear from veterans, which was what I touched on earlier, which was the connection to something larger, and the fact that you have a team when you're in the service. Reintegration, where AmeriCorps or National Service fits in, is an opportunity to plug an individual back into those type of things, like I was saying earlier. The opportunity to have a team when you come home. So if you do have to struggle with certain, service-related injuries or anything like that, you're not doing it on your own.
Okay. Amber, what about you? What is it about, from your perspective as somebody who's currently serving as an AmeriCorps Vista, what is it about national service that helps make veteran reintegration to civilian life? What kind of a role does it play?
It really allows us to showcase the different abilities that we have, not just our leadership abilities, but different things around the office, teamwork, team building, capacity building, things like that. It allows us to get back out into society and to show people that not only are we skilled, that we still have that desire to serve our community. And when they see that, they respond far better than they do to, different reports of veterans doing things like, killing other people, things like that, because that gives them a really bad impression of the entire pool of veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, you deal with this on a much broader scale at Points of Life, but what's your take on this as far as the issue of reintegration? What kind of a role do you think National Service plays in helping veterans to reintegrate to civilian life?
Well, I think National Service plays a critical role. It really helps build veteran skills and gives them the tools they need to try to figure out what they're going to do in the next phase of their life. So serving National Service positions such as Veterinary Corps or some of the other programs allows them to build the skill sets they need to be successful in their civilian lives and as they move forward.
Okay.
Can I piggyback off of that real quick?
Sure, absolutely. Please go ahead, Jason.
I'm sorry. I mean, there was a veteran I was working with, a VetCorps member, a little bit last week, and he was a Marine, and he served a few years, and he come back, and he said that now that I'm back home, I'm just another boob on the street. And VetCorps was an opportunity. Our VetCorps was an opportunity for him to highlight some of those skills that he does bring back to the community, and an opportunity for some of what Amber was saying. these skills that are outside of leadership or outside of what we associate with military skills were definitely valued within his community. The opportunity to do fundraisers and work for the college, connect other service programs in the area and stuff like that. So I see national service as a way for those skills. Yes, just piggybacking on everybody, I really wanted to. Sorry.
No, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Can I
Go
add
ahead,
something
Lauren.
again?
Go
Yeah,
ahead, Lauren.
And also, it gives veterans a chance to get into national service and go into the nonprofit sector, which is severely underrepresented when you're going to these veterans hiring fairs. A lot of people are drawn to national service because they want to give back, and the nonprofit world is a chance to do that. And you're, as an AmeriCorps Vista or as an AmeriCorps member, you are learning those skills to work in partnership with nonprofits that you would not get normally. And a lot of people transition from the military into a similar job, but just as a civilian. But this gives you an opportunity to do a whole new thing.
Okay. Well, kind of piggybacking off of that, and Lauren, I'll go ahead and stick with you, and we'll go around the panel once again on this. But what do you think, again, working from your perspective as a military spouse and someone who works with veterans, what do you think can be done to strengthen that relationship between military and civilian service, those making the transition from military life into civilian life?
I think Amber made a great point. There's so many negative things out there about what veterans and military family members are experiencing. We need to focus more on the positive and look at the skill sets that people have. I mean, there's no other job in the world that gives supervisory experience to someone who is 19 or 20 years old. So they're already going into management roles in the military, as staff sergeants or sergeants, and people take that for granted. They think, oh, you're in the military, you don't have a particular management skill set, but that's what they're trained to do. They're trained to lead, and they're really good at bringing people together. And I think that having the civilian community understand that is something that we need to work at.
Amber, I'm going to go ahead and come back to you, and because you did make that point. But what do you think could be done to strengthen that relationship between military and civilian service?
I feel like a lot of veterans don't know about these opportunities. Actually, more visibility to these opportunities for veterans to find and get into, because a lot of them don't know, and it seems like there's really nobody out there kind of letting them know. I found out about AmeriCorps through another veteran at Mission Continues who had done AmeriCorps as well. So if it hadn't been for my fellowship there, I might not have ever even known about AmeriCorps.
Tony, you see this on a kind of, again, on a much broader scale nationwide, but would you echo a lot of that sentiment that people just coming out of the military just don't know about civilian service as an option?
I would. I think it's important for us, particularly those folks who know about these programs, to really engage with the base installations. And the Army is launching a new program called the Army Corporate Councils to really invite nonprofits and these other programs in so they can speak to the service members as they begin their transition. I think it's critical for us to really ensure that civilians don't look at veterans as a hand out and look at them more as a hand up. I think that's a change that we have to start making in our communities and our mindset. I know that's one of the things that Colonel Sutherland has talked about in his Sea of Goodwill paper and those type of things. So we really need to start trying to help veterans and help the civilian community understand the need for veterans to be seen as someone that can be useful in the community, not just someone that's a plague on the community, really. So.
Okay, and Jason, in your position in the state of Washington, again, do you think this is a case where people just don't know about it, and how do we get the word out?
I definitely think that there could be a better job done getting the word out to individual veterans as they're fresh in the transition process. We've had good success with reaching out to our Joint Base Lewis McChord's ACAP program and letting transitioning soldiers know that there's opportunities for national service in the state of Washington. Now, that can't be said for nationwide and whatnot like that, so definitely think that more communication in that area would be beneficial. I also think that there also needs to be a readiness for national service and nonprofit sector and everything like that to be able to take these veterans in leadership roles and be able to understand that they bring these type of skills. I think that Tony was very well spoken on the fact that it needs to be a hand up, not a hand out, and the opportunity for veterans to then serve other veterans, serve their communities and whatnot. Yes.
Okay. So I guess one question that does pop to my mind, talking about getting the word out, and maybe it's a lot of word of mouth. I know that's how I began my national service, was having heard about different programs through Vista and AmeriCorps. But and Amber, I'm going to start with you. What would you say to somebody who was just getting ready to separate from the service about doing a year of national service after they leave the armed forces? What would you say to them?
Well, I've said it to a few of them already.
Okay.
That this is the perfect opportunity for them to really find out exactly what it is they want to do and what it is that they're really good at outside of the military. That really doesn't make them feel like they're locked into a position that's corporate or stuffy, things like that that they're trying to maybe get away from since they're separating. So a little bit of a more relaxed, kind of open environment to explore different opportunities and skills is an excellent thing for someone that's separating. A year is nothing. Think about it. We deploy for a year. So it goes by fast, and it would help them, kind of get their career in the right path.
Okay. Lauren, what do you think as far as somebody who has who sees a lot of veterans on a regular basis? How do we get the word out better to and what do you say? How do you broach that notion of civilian service to a veteran?
I think the main way is to make sure you use your networking tools. I mean, all of us know a lot of people, and then with all the initiatives going on with like the Hero to Hire and the Chamber of Commerce hiring our Heroes events, we've actually been at those events, and our coalitions that are in those areas have been there actually recruiting for their AmeriCorps Vista people. So they're able to spread the word about what an impact national service can have, what the benefits are of being an AmeriCorps member. And a lot of people are very surprised because they've never heard of AmeriCorps. So offering that as a viable transition into, into civilian life, and I love how Amber said that, to trying something new out. Because it's very different from military service. But what's funny is even though it's very different, a lot of our veterans see it kind of similar because they have created standard operating procedures for their nonprofits. And the nonprofits, a lot of people are not structured in a way that would be very welcoming to military people, but they've been able to transition and be a bridge to saying, hey, you know what, all these strategies that you're working on in your community, we should really target the military community for these strategies as well. I know a lot of people that would love to volunteer and be a part of it. So it's kind of been like a twofold sharing experience for our community anti-drug coalitions and the veterans that are placed with them as Vistas.
Tony, again, looking at the broader national picture, what are we doing and what can we be doing better to get the word out to those who are getting ready to separate from the service about maybe considering a year of national service as part of their program to transition from civilian life to military life?
I think it's critical for us to work hand in hand with our military counterparts, ensuring that they're getting the word out to the soldiers, such as Soldier for Life, Marine for Life, and a lot of those great organizations that are out there, making sure that they're communicating the message of national service. And really, our goal should be, say, this is a way for you to continue your service. We know that you have given everything to your country already, but we want you to continue your service, and that means joining national programs, National Direct or Vista programs. We know the needs out there. Last year, veterans gave $952 million for million hours of volunteer services. They want to give back, so we just need to connect into programs to make sure they understand the programs that are out there that can help them give back in a meaningful way.
Now, Jason, how many people who come to Vet Corps in the state of Washington heard about it before they left the service, and how do you spread that word, especially with a so close to a base like Joint Base Lewis McChord there?
Mm-hmm. So, quick point of clarification, most of our Vet Corps members that we recruit for our program are actually state residents. Usually we try to pick from communities that veterans are currently living in, going to school and whatnot like that. Of those, I would say that about 20 to 30% are individuals that we picked up going through the ACAP program, Joint Base Lewis McChord, and or transitioning through the TAPS program, a couple of the Navy bases over in the Puget Sound. Yes, so
okay.
Did I answer the full question?
Yeah. So how do we as those people come through ACAP or programs like that with the Navy bases up on the Sound, how do we get the word out about Vet Corps and other national service options as ways for civilians to reintegrate? or to his military people to reintegrate, I should say.
So first, the conversations around what services may you need when you looking to use your GI Bill going to community and four-year colleges in the state of Washington. Usually, from that conversation, veterans are looking for something to supplement the income, and/or an opportunity to kind of change some of the things that they see when they get back to their communities. But definitely, the conversation starts off with who's available for me to talk to when I go to those different regions, and then it's from working with Vet Corps members that the process of wanting to step into those positions comes. Most of our recruitment actually is word of mouth by Vet Corps members that have currently worked with somebody to have them know that these are opportunities that they move forward.
That's fantastic. You know, this has been a really fantastic panel, and I appreciate all of you joining us today. In fact, it's worth noting that we have the four main branches of the armed forces represented. Amber being an Army veteran, Jason being a Navy veteran, Tony being a Marine Corps veteran, and Lauren being the wife of an Air Force veteran. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you all, Amber Stone, Lauren Lloyd, Jason Alves, and Tony Deal for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all, and thanks to you for joining us today. We'd like to keep this conversation going if we can next month with some new questions. We'd like to keep this conversation going online. Follow us on Twitter at ServiceNation or on Facebook at facebook.com/ServiceNation, or you can visit our website at ServiceNation.org. I'm Ian Crawford. Thank you for joining us today. We'll talk to you all soon.